I also visited this group of women in Mana and Mulletivu for a story that I was working on. And one of the questions that I asked all of them was, how many of you have received counseling? Because they were speaking about, the violence that they had faced. Some of them from their partners and their spouses. Some of them had not received counseling. Most of them had not even considered that question until I asked it. Because for them, their immediate struggle was just to survive. Many of them had, lost their spouses, and they were trying to, build their households by themselves. They were incredibly resourceful in trying to make ends meet. Many of them had children, and they wanted to put their children through school. So they were really working hard to just to make ends meet and to survive. What they wished for, there was a myriad of things, not necessarily what you would immediately think of or the kind of stereotypes that you see in the news. Many of them did say that they wanted economic support because their greatest wish was that their children not suffer through the hardships they had suffered. Many of them also spoke about the need for consistent counseling support because outside of Colombo and especially in the conflict affected areas, there's much less financial resources and development in some of those areas. So for example, when I visited Mulletivu in 2016, there was just one psychiatrist for the entire district. And counseling was sporadic. It would kind of often be through civil society organizations, and once the funding dried up, they would leave. So many of them also said they wanted consistent counseling. Some of them wanted just an apology. And this also highlights, I think, why conflict-related sexual violence is important, because the people who suffer through this are, they have often lost their loved ones, they have lost property, their homes and money, and so they are very vulnerable, and therefore they need to have their needs addressed. And it can't be a blanket solution given, to everyone. It needs to be based on what the community wants. Another aspect of conflict-related sexual violence that is not really addressed or spoken about very much is that men also often are subject to sexual violence in times of conflict. There are several reports that have been released which indicate that men in Sri Lanka have been subject to sexual violence, and they face a lot of shame because of the kind of role of masculinity and the role they think that they have to play in society. And so this is often a further barrier for them accessing the services like counseling that they need in order to move forward. So that's another really important aspect that is often overlooked.